Today we're exploring Adlerian Therapy. And really, it's all about this deep, fundamental human drive we all have to belong, to contribute, and to, find our place in the world. It's like a blueprint for understanding ourselves and how we connect with everyone around us. You know that nagging feeling you get sometimes? That feeling that you don't quite fit in, or that you're always trying so hard but just falling short? Well, if you've ever felt that, you're definitely not alone. It turns out these are totally universal human experiences, and Adlerian Therapy has a really cool way of looking at them, not as a weakness, but as the actual fuel for our growth.
Okay, let's really break this down, because this is the absolute core of the whole thing. Adler believed that those feelings of inferiority, of not being enough, aren't some problem we need to get rid of. Nope. He saw them as the engine. It's what motivates us to learn, to improve, to strive for something better. It's pretty much the spark that drives all human progress.
Now, to really get Adler, it helps to look at where he and his famous colleague, Sigmund Freud, parted ways. They were both pioneers, for sure, but Adler had this much more optimistic, forward-looking take on what makes us tick. He basically said, hey, we are not prisoners of our past. And this comparison just lays it all out, doesn't it? Freud's view was that we're basically pushed through life by our past experiences and all these unconscious drives. But Adler, he came along and said, no, we are pulled by the future. We're pulled by our goals, our vision for who we want to be. It's a huge shift, right? It's the difference between feeling like your life is already determined and knowing that it's something you get to creatively build. So, if we're pulled by our goals, how do we actually go after them? Well, Adler had a name for our own unique way of doing things. He called it our style of life. Just think of it like your personal, one-of-a-kind map for getting through the world. It's the blueprint you've created for yourself to overcome those feelings of inferiority and find where you belong. And according to Adler, this personal blueprint gets put to the test in three main areas of life that we all have to deal with. First, there's the social task, building friendships. Then there's the task of finding love and intimacy. And finally, the occupational task of contributing to the world, of having a purpose. How we handle these three things says a lot about our style of life. This brings us to a really beautiful and central idea in Adler's theory, social interest. This is our built-in capacity to connect with other people, to cooperate, and to genuinely care about their well-being. For Adler, this was everything. A healthy level of social interest isn't just nice to have. He saw it as the #1 sign of mental health. It's what takes us from feeling small and inferior to feeling connected and part of something bigger. And wow, this quote from Adler, it just perfectly captures what he meant by social interest. To see with the eyes of another, to hear with the ears of another, to feel with the heart of another. It's just pure empathy. Adler truly believed that our own happiness is totally tied up in our ability to contribute to the lives of other people.
Okay, let's talk about a concept you've probably heard of before, birth order. Now, for Adlerians, this isn't about putting you in a rigid box. It's more about recognizing that the position you're born into in your family gives you a unique starting point, a specific perspective on the world. It gives us clues about how you learn to find your significance.
So you've got the oldest, who might become super dependable after being, dethroned by a younger sibling. Then the second child, who often acts like they're in a race with the first one. The middle child can sometimes feel a bit lost in the shuffle. The youngest, often the charmer of the family. And the only child is frequently a high achiever, but might have to work a little harder on sharing. But again, these are just starting points, not your destiny.
Now, another really crucial piece of our personal blueprint is what Adlerians call our private logic. Think of this as your personal internal rulebook. It's made up of all these deeply held beliefs you have about yourself, about other people, and about how the world works. This private logic is basically the compass that guides all of your actions.
This private logic is incredibly powerful, but when it's built on mistaken ideas, it can cause some real problems. Let's look at this case study of a client named Stan. His private logic goes something like this. Okay, I believe I'm unlovable, and I believe the world is full of people who will probably reject me. The logical conclusion for him? Therefore, I have to stay by myself to avoid getting hurt. See how it makes sense from his point of view, even though it's keeping him stuck? And that leads us right into the therapy itself. The main goal here isn't to cure some kind of sickness. It's really about a journey from discouragement to encouragement. It's about helping someone find the courage to face life's challenges in a way that's more connected and, more courageous. So this whole therapeutic journey generally unfolds in 4 stages.
It all starts with building a solid, respectful relationship between the therapist and the client. Then, together, they dive in and assess the client's lifestyle. That leads to step 3, which is all about gaining insight and self-understanding. And finally, you get to reorientation. That's where the client takes all that new insight and starts to put it into action.
So in that second phase, the assessment part, the therapist kind of becomes a lifestyle investigator. They'll look at the family dynamics, birth order, and, this is really key, their client's earliest memories. Adlerians don't see these memories as simple facts from the past. They see them as a reflection of our core beliefs right now. It's our private logic on full display.
And to really get to the heart of what a memory means, a therapist might ask a question just like this one. That one single frame that stands out the most in the memory, that's usually where the gold is. It reveals so much about how the client sees life, what they were feeling, and the conclusions they drew from that moment.
Phase 3 is where all the dots start to connect. It's that big aha moment when the client finally sees the link between their hidden beliefs, their feelings, and their actions. They start to understand the purpose their behavior serves. So for Stan, he realizes his isolation isn't random. Its purpose is to protect him from the rejection he's so afraid of.
But, and this is so important, just having that insight isn't the end of the story. The final phase, reorientation, is all about action. It's about taking that new understanding and using it to make real changes. This is where you roll up your sleeves, take some risks, try new things, and actively start writing a new, more fulfilling chapter in your life.
Now, there is one single thing that weaves through all 4 of these phases. It's not just a technique, it's the most distinctive and important part of the whole approach, and that is encouragement. It's the fundamental vibe of the therapy, constantly working to build up the client's courage to be imperfect and to try again.
So, what's the end game here? What is this whole process trying to achieve? It's about discovering a whole new way of living. It's about finally, truly finding your place.
By challenging that faulty private logic and drawing up a new life blueprint, people start to see themselves and the world in a completely new light. They shift away from just protecting themselves and feeling isolated, and they move toward real connection and a feeling of community. They start to develop that all-important social interest we talked about.
So if you take anything away from all of this, let it be these 4 things. 1. You are not defined by your past. You are pulled forward by your future. 2. Those feelings of not being good enough, they can actually be your greatest superpower for growth. 3. A sense of belonging isn't just a nice idea. It's essential for your well-being. And 4, and this is the big one, you have the power to reauthor your life story anytime you choose.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about for ourselves. What is the guiding purpose that's pulling you forward? What is the story that's shaping your life right now? And is it the one you truly want to be writing?